distinct reason why white people are so much opposed to black people having freedom or any sense of equality. That reason is because the only time that white people have ever been free is when they was able to enslave blacks. The only freedom whites were ever afforded amongst their own people was when they was afforded the ability to oppress black people. White people come from what is called the feudalist system in medieval Europe, where they were basically slaves. This is what we need to understand about these Europeans when you see them backing Trump and pushing the strongman concept. The reason why is they're going back into the feudalist system. They're trying to bring in a king. They need a strong man in order to create power for them.
Middle Ages feudal system. The basic government and society in Europe during the Middle Ages was based around the feudal system. Small communities were formed around the local lord and the manor. The lord owned the land and everything in it.
The very first thing William did after he took the English throne was to declare in 1067 that all lands, which had previously been in the hands of many landowners, belonged exclusively to him. He then instituted feudalism, where he began to parcel out land to the loyal soldiers who helped him win the throne. That brings us to today. According to The Guardian, 70% of Britain's land remains in the hands of less than 1% of its population, with a mere 160,000 families owning 66% of it. More troubling, Queen Elizabeth II remains the nominal owner of every bit of land in England, and every landowner is technically just a tenant who pays rent in the form of loyalty.
Queen Elizabeth. She's the largest landholder in the world. More than 6 billion acres of land are owned in her name.
In England, to this day, they cannot own land. You can only lease land. The Queen of England owns all the land, or the Crown owns all the land. You lease the land for 100 years at a time. That is considered ownership over there. White people in mass numbers died for the Queen of England for them to have nothing. This is what black people have to worry about because of our innate value of humanity and their willingness to sacrifice their husbands, their sons for the crown of England and have nothing in return is what has black people so fearful of have to deal with these white people. They don't care what they have, they just care what we don't have. The only time white people have ever had any form of freedom and had any form of any type of wealth as a collective is when they were used by the top elites to continue to oppress black people. This is why black people have to understand that this racist issue is not going anywhere. Because when left alone, white elites oppress white people. They are not allowed to own land themselves. They were forced into this feudalist system and were forced to work this land using religion to say that God ordained land to various families to make them kings. Then they taught them it is a service to God to service the kingdom.
They're all top of the line. Our guy's not top of the line, never was. These are top of the line people at the top of their game. President Xi is a brilliant man. If you went all over Hollywood to look for somebody to play the role of President Xi, you couldn't find it. There's nobody like that. The look, the brain, the whole thing. We had a great relationship. We got along so well. There was a great chemistry we had. Great. We talked about everything. a great chemistry. But people ask me, how smart is she? I said, top of the line. You never met anybody smarter. How smart is Kim Jong-un? Top of the line. You know, people say, oh, this and that. Really smart. You know, when you come out and as a young man at 24, 23, even though he sort of inherits it, most people, when they inherit, they lose it. And that's easy stuff. He took over a country of very smart people, very, very energetic people, very tough people, at a very young age, and he has total dominant control. That's not easy. These are very smart. Putin, very smart.
Donald Trump had made it clear that he desires to be a dictator. So all those who continue to support Donald Trump are willing to support the overthrowing of American democracy and to support a dictator. Why is they willing to support Donald Trump as a dictator? Because Donald Trump has proven to be a bigot and he's willing to support racism, so they feel that Donald Trump will benefit white people. They feel that Donald Trump as a king will uphold white supremacy. Make no mistake about this. This is what this is about. They're willing to sacrifice democracy because they feel that their numbers are dwindling and they want a dictatorship. They want a king in order to create a social status that directly identifies you as black people as subordinate to them as whites.
The fall of the Roman Empire began the medieval age. The medieval age brought plagues, famines, disease, and in the middle of it all is feudalism. Feudalism, or the feudal system, was a dominant social system used in Western medieval Europe, mainly from the 5th to 12th century. In the feudal system, land are rewarded to lower classes for services, military service, and loyalty. For example, a king would reward a noble for being loyal to him, and in the same way, a noble would reward a knight for his service. This created a social system where all social classes are needed, which allows serfs and peasants who are at the bottom of the social system to still have a high morale as the whole social system depended on them. This is important as nearly 90% of the population during the 5th and 12th century are either serfs or peasants. However, feudalism gave kings almost unlimited.
Good Sunday morning. Donald Trump launched his third bid for the White House just 19 days ago, believe it or not. And already his campaign and the Republican Party are being tested as he refuses to disavow the anti-Semitic and racist part of the party that he has aligned himself with for years now. Trump has been endorsed by just a single Republican senator for this third bid, Alabama's Tommy Tuberville. On the House side, his supporters include people like Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Paul Gosar. Semitism. After the rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, lost lucrative partnerships with Adidas and others because of an anti-Semitic tirade, Donald Trump still welcomed him to Mar-a-Lago for a pre-Thanksgiving dinner. And Kanye brought along Nick Fuentes, a prominent white supremacist, Holocaust denier, and anti-Semite. Trump has claimed not to know who Fuentes was, but he has not yet disavowed either Fuentes or Ye. Instead, Trump recorded a video expressing solidarity with the mob that attacked the Capitol on January 6th. He did that earlier this week. And then on Saturday, seemingly out of nowhere, called for the suspension of the Constitution as yet another attempt to overturn the 2020 election. Trump
Power and gave women living in medieval Europe almost no rights. Women were forced into marriage by their families and not allowed to get a divorce no matter what. It was also very common for social status to be more valued than intelligence in feudalism.
Trump showed he was a racist from the beginning. He started running, he ran off a birtherism campaign, asking Obama to produce his birth certificate, which has not been asked of any other president throughout the history of America except for the first black president. What I need black people to understand is all the white people who vote for Trump and support Trump in spite of the fact that he tried to deny your vote in places that are majority black like Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Atlanta, those who ignore that are all racist. All the white people who continue to support Trump in spite of the fact that he hosted meetings with Nick Fuentes and all that, are people who are willing to overlook your humanity. They're willing to support the propaganda that promotes you as less than human beings. And this is the majority of white people in America. Let's get rid of the delusion of an equality that has never occurred, or let's get rid of the delusion of integration. You are currently just being tolerated when you live amongst white people. These white people are fighting hard to oppress you and use this government system to continue to oppress you as it has always done. This is what you have to understand, and they fear with their numbers dwindling that they will not have that ability through democracy, so they like the hell with democracy. We want a king. We want a dictator. That is what America is saying right now today.